السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة. أما بعد، جزاكم الله خير. My dear respected brothers and sisters, inshallah, we're going to be continuing our series to learn from the curriculum from the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Brothers and sisters, one of the most important aspects that many people tend to underlook is that there are certain things that our deen focus on, and there are certain things that our deen put emphasis on and takes priority. A lot of times, people tend to focus on doing good deeds, and especially during the times of worshipings, like during the time of Ramadan, during the time of the 10 of the Hijjah, during the time, during the time of Hajj, people tend to focus on doing good deeds, whether it was fasting, praying, donating, and etc. But believe it or not, our dear brothers and sisters focus on certain things that are more important than the good deeds in themselves. And that is the issue of tazkiyah, purification of the soul. There is one time in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala almost swore by 7 times. There is no time in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swore that many times over one thing. Nowhere in the Quran. Which shows the importance of that thing that Rabbil Alameen is swearing on. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swear onto something, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالضُّحَى, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swore noon, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swear on a certain things, that means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants us to pay attention to that thing. But there is nowhere in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swore on something as many times as that thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala almost swore by 7 things here, and He swore on the importance of what? Of purification of the soul, and He said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. He was truly successful, the one who purifies his soul. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He described the people of Jannah, He said, جَنَّاتُ عَدْنٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, underneath them going to be heavens. Those heavens, what's the description of those heavens? They have rivers flowing underneath them. In it, they're going to be in it for eternity, and this is the reward of the people who do purification of their soul. وَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have sent Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam solely, one of the sole things that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was sent for was for how can we purify ourselves? How can we make tazkiyah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ مَا زَكَى مِنْكُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ أَبَدًا. And if it wasn't for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one would ever would have purification. هو الذي بعث في الأمين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. He was sent, this Prophet ﷺ was sent so he could purify their souls. كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منهم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam so he could what? Recite his verses on us, and so he could teach us how to purify ourselves. So the issue here, brothers and sisters, we have to know the emphasis of purifying ourselves, purifying our soul. Here we're not talking about physical pollution, like washing. No. Like how can I purify my soul? How can I look at the mistakes of myself, the bad characteristics that I have, and make them better, improve on them? That's what meaning of purifying my soul. It's not, we're talking about like washing. No, this is not the issue here. The issue is not washing. Washing. When you go to the bathroom and you have a limp or a face or a leg that is dirty, it takes 5 minutes to wash it and that's it. It's a done deal. But the question here is, if someone wanted to purify his soul, make himself better, that might take years, might take days and weeks, and I mean it depends on how يعني how serious you're about changing that. يعني even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he used to make dua, look at the dua Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-ajzi wal kasal. Oh Allah, I ask you to yeah, I seek refuge from you from being weak and being lazy. وَمِنَ الْجُبْنِ وَمِنَ الْبُخْلِ. And for me to be, I seek refuge from being a coward and being cheap. وَمِنَ الْهَرَمِ, and being old. وَعَذَابِ الْقَبْرِ, I seek refuge from the punishment of the grave. اللهم آتي نفسي تقواها. Oh Allah, give my soul, the power to fear you. وَزَكِّهَا أَنْتَ خَيْرُ مَنْ زَكَّهَا, and purify it. Oh Allah, purify my soul. You are the best who could purify souls. أَنْتَ وَلِيُّهَا وَمَوْلَاهَا, you are, the guide of my soul, and you are the one who's in control. So subhanallah, even Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha. Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha. Oh Allah, purify my soul. You are the best who could purify. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he used to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to purify his soul, to make himself a better individual, Yani, and that's the brothers and sisters, is not about, the issue here is that it's not about just doing good deeds, because sometimes someone, you see Muslims during the month of Ramadan filling out the masjid. The masjids are full. But when you look at the characteristics of these Muslims, what they're supposed to be doing, how supposed to be behaving, how they're supposed to implement it, we are, we're not doing a great job. جندب بن عبد الله, one of the Sahaba, he said, كنا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وكنا نحن فتيان جزاورة. when we were young people with Sayyidina Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, فتعلمنا الإيمان قبل أن نتعلم القرآن. We were taught how to have faith. Look at this. We were taught how to have faith before we were taught the Quran. This is the importance of faith, because when you learn faith, how to believe, how to fear, how to behave, how to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were taught before they even touched the Quran. He said, ثم تعلمنا القرآن فزدنا به إيمانا. And then after we learned the Quran, our faith even increased even further. Which shows us, brothers, this is the priorities. The seerah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaches us that a certain priorities we need to focus on. Yes, praying is good, or doing good deeds is good, but what takes precedence? What takes priority? Which is more important? Is it for us to purify our faith, our soul, or us just to continue doing things for the sake of doing? The thing is, if someone prays, he makes qiyam al-layl, and he wakes up in the morning being a liar, he fasts, day after day, and then when he wake up in the morning, he cheats and misbehaves and lies and tricks people. So what does your prayer and your fasting would do for you? And that's why, brothers and sisters, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "At-taqwa, fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is not by doing extra. Praying is good, and fasting is good. All of that is good. But Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "At-taqwa hahuna." Fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is here, and he pointed to his chest 3 times. Fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is here. Fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is where the real essence of the issue here, brother and sister, is to focus on ourselves. When Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna Allah la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa amwalikum," Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at how your outward looks. He does not look at how beautiful you are and how strong you are and how muscular you are, or how a sheikh looking you are. And he does not look at how much money you have. وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. And he look at what's your heart, how was your heart, and what is your actions. And as one of the Sahaba have said that, يعني Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, يعني look at يعني Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the amount of faith Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu have, يعني was incomparable to anyone. يعني Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, the amount of iman he has is incomparable to anyone else. And that's what one of the Sahaba said that Abu Bakr Siddiq, he was not better than us. He was not better than us in extra prayer or extra fasting, but rather in something inside of his chest was his heart. So, meaning, brothers and sisters, again and again and again, the importance of purification of the soul, the importance of improving your morals, the importance of is working on your faults and being a better individuals, fixing your inside habits. When Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ala inna في الجسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب." He said, indeed, there is an organ in the body. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, indeed, there is an organ in the body. If this organ is good, then the rest of the body is good. And if this organ is bad, then the rest of the body is bad. Indeed, it's the heart. So if your heart is good, then what difference would it make, brothers and sisters, if you have the longest beard in the world, and beard is mandatory on men, or as a sister, she's wearing a niqab, and wearing hijab is mandatory in a woman. But what difference would it make if this sister does not have haya, if this sister cheats and lies and disrespect her parents and shout at her husband and shout at and always yelling and being impatient? What difference would that make? What difference will that make on that guy who cheats and hits and beats and disrespects everyone around him? What's your prayer is going to do for you? You see? So, brothers and sisters, and that's why when you look at Sayyidina, like Sayyidina Ibn Mas'ud, look at this. He said, ما كان بين إسلامنا وبين أن عاتبنا الله بهذه الآية إلا بأربع سنين. He said, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after we became Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after 4 years, he told us this verse. What is this verse? ألم يأن للذين آمنوا أن تخشع قلوبهم لذكر الله لذكر الله. Isn't it time for the believers, for them to have tranquility and pay attention to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So meaning look at the priorities of things. Look at the priorities of things that our heart should be pure. Our heart should be remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our heart should be submitting ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our heart should have sincerity, And that's why, look at the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. This is one of the hadith that I'm going to mention here. It's one of the most important hadith that talks about the priority of faith and the priority of fixing your heart. He said, إنما نزل من أول ما نزل القرآن. The very first thing that was revealed in the Quran, فيما ذكر الجنة والنار. The very first thing that was revealed in the Quran is knowing about Jannah, knowing about heaven, and knowing about hellfire. حتى إذا ثاب الناس إلى الإسلام نزل الحلال والحرام. And then after people got used to this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to us what is lawful and what's lawful, what's not lawful. How to pray, all of these things. So the very first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the believers is things that are related to faith. Believe in Him. Know that there is a day of judgment. Know that there is a hellfire. Know that there is heaven. He says, after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed what is halal and what is haram. And she said, وَلَوْ نَزَلَ أَوَّلَ شَيْءٍ لَا تَشْرَبُوا الْخَمْرِ. لا تشربوا الخمر. They would have said, oh, or don't do this and don't do that, the halal and the haram. Okay. They would have said, we would not quit drinking. We would not do this. So the important is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to them what is important of faith. And then after that, the halal and haram later on was revealed to them. So that's why, brothers and sisters, we have to understand that it's important that we work on ourselves, be a better individuals. And as you know, إن الله لا يغير ما بقوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم. We tend to think like, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing this to me? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing that to me? Well, because you haven't changed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change people unless people change what's inside of themselves. حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم, until they change what's inside of themselves. So how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to change the ummah? How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to change you as an individual? Because you haven't changed. You still do the same thing over and over. So the part of purification of your soul is knowing your faults, know where you stand, know your mistakes, know the awful things that you do. Okay, and know what kind of nafs do you have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, there are three types of nafs, there are three types of soul. And the worst one is the soul that always asks its owner to commit sins. Inna an-nafsa la'ammaratun bis-su'. Indeed, the soul always asks its owner to commit sins. But if you're a little bit better, you would be what we call a nafs al-lawama, the soul that always regrets. وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. And I do not swear by the soul that always regrets. It's better than the first one. And the best one, النَّفْسُ الْمُطْمَئِنَّةِ, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the soul that is full of tranquility. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية. Oh, soul full of tranquility, go back to your Lord with full satisfaction. You know, and no, brothers and sisters, this is takes precedence more than anything else. That doesn't mean I'm not quit praying. No. He said, do the good deeds that you're doing, but even more importantly, that you focus on yourself and be and make that as a priority. As Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إنما الحلم بالتحلم. يعني if you want to be gentle, then you act and you try to be gentle. That you work on that, and then after that you would gain that habits and gain that attributes. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُم سُبُلَنَا, and whoever struggle in our cause, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide them. And this is something, it's an equation. You want to be guided, then struggle. Struggle to change yourself, struggle to be a better individual, struggle to be a better human being. Change the bad characteristics that you have. Look at yourself. Do you have ego issue? Do you have arrogance? Do you have issue of lust? Are you lacking haya? Do you feel that you are not submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You feel like I can't, why this is happening to me? You're not a abd, you're not a true servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are you having always jealousy of others? And instead of loving for them what you love for yourself? Or are you envious, in which that you always hate for people to have good things? Do you cheat? Do you lie? Do you harm other people? Do you hate other people? All these sins are not outward things. There is things that inside of you that you have to work on and be a better individual. So, brother and sister, these things takes precedence in you work on them. Because this is the purification of the soul. قد أفلح من زكاها. Indeed, he is successful, the person who purify his soul. So with that, brothers and sisters, one of the most important aspects that we should be learning from the curriculum of the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the importance of purifying our souls, and why that is important, and why this takes precedence more than many things that Muslims nowadays are doing. I hope that this message have reached all of you. If I said anything that is good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his prophet, if I said anything inappropriate for myself and the shaitan, جزاكم الله خير لاستماعكم. سبحانك وبحمدك نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين عملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.